Hi, everybody. This is Jan Romano from MassHire Metro North Career Center. I am going to be teaching you today some database functions. It's going to be a three-part series. So part one will be the basics, and then I'll tell you what else we'll cover very soon. Hope you're having a great day and hopefully ready to learn some Excel database functions. So I want you to take a look at what we're going to be going over. I'm going to take away my webcam for just a second, come back in a little bit. And this is going to be, as I mentioned, a three-part series. It's going to be learning what a database is, how to change a database into a table, do some data entry, how to sort the data, how to filter the data, and how to subtotal the data. So we are going to be going through in these three parts all of this information. And of course, we'll start at the basics. So what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn the database screen elements. We're going to learn some data entry. So that's what we're about to do. I am using an Excel spreadsheet that is considered a database. And we're going to talk about what that database is and how we get that to be a database. So you can download something similar to this. You can find things like this on the web. I might be able to email you if you contact me, and I'll send you this file. But you can make your own up that would be a little bit more relative to what maybe your industry is and what you're doing. But this is a Excel spreadsheet. All I've done is type in people's first names and last names and the titles of their jobs, the department, the location that they work in, how many hours they're working, what their hourly wage is, and then doing a formula in the weekly salary. So I did the formula to multiply the hours times the wages and then copied that down. Now, why is this considered a database and not just a worksheet? Well, it is just a worksheet, but it's considered a database for a couple of different reasons. A database is data that's typed into columns and rows, just like I said, a worksheet, but with no empty columns and no empty rows within that data. So I can have some empty cells, but no empty columns and no empty rows. All the data has to be together in a range. So a range means that a group of cells that are touching. The other thing that makes this a really good database is that it has a header row. So the first row, and again, this database doesn't have to start on row 1. It could start in row 10. But as long as the row above it is empty and the row below my text is empty, anything in between is considered a database. But the first row, it's always a great idea to put in some field names, we call them, just labels. You just type them, nothing special, but they explain what goes or what the data is going to be underneath that field name. So that's called a header row. Right here is a header row. This is a database from, in this case, cell A1 down to H22. Now, if we wanted to add some data into this, we could just click at the bottom and add some data into the bottom. But one of the things that I like to do to a database is turn it into a table. For many reasons, there are a lot of pluses to turning data into a table. So that's what I'm going to show you next. So I'm going to just come over to my next tab at the bottom, and I'm going to click on table, and it's not a table yet. I'm going to show you. Notice over here on the right, I have turned the database into a table. How? Using insert table. So let me do that for you. I'm going to come up to my ribbon and go to insert. And then the third button is called table. I'll click on table, and it comes up and it says, all right, where is this table? Well, right now the dollar signs, I hope you know, mean absolute. So A1 is a cell address. So absolutely starting in A1 to absolutely H22. That's where my data is. I'm going to click OK. Why did it know that? Because there are no empty columns and no empty rows, and all this text is together. So yep, this is my database, and I'll click OK, and notice what it does. Coloring is blue and white, but that can be changed if you don't like those colors. But what's important is it brought up beside each field name an arrow, and that's a working arrow. And that arrow is going to allow us to sort and filter and custom filter and custom sort as we go along. So this data is now turned into a table, and we're going to be able to work on it. So we started off with regular text, and we typed in the text, we turned it into a table, and then I just want to show you what happens when you do some data entry. So I'm going to click right here at the end of my database, and I'm going to type in Mary Smith, and I don't know if you noticed, but automatically this included, what included? Excel included this row 23 into what we call this table. And I'll show you that in just a second even more. So I'm going to go over to title, and I'm going to say that Mary Smith is a trainer, and she's in the training department in Boston. And I want you to notice I typed a VO, and all of a sudden Boston pops up, and that's the autofill. And she's going to work 40 hours, and she's going to work it and get paid a certain amount of money. So let's say she's going to get paid $25 an hour. Now I want you to notice when I hit enter, what happens in the weekly salary column. When I hit enter, the weekly salary is automatically created. What's created? Well, really, it's copied from the cell above. The formula is in now this cell because it's been in the cell above as well. So F23 times G23, and now it automatically did that formula for me. So it basically copies from the cell above. Whatever it did in the cell above, it's doing now in this cell. So it's pretty simple. You just go to the bottom of your database. You can still call this a database, even though we turned it into a table. A table is a database, and you're able to work in it. And so in the next section, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to do some sorting and some filtering. Right now, it was basically just doing some data entry and turning this into a table. So what do you think about what you learned today? Very simple. We're trying to make these as easy as possible to do just some quick and easy things in Excel, and then go on and make this a little bit more and more productive for you today. So this is what we're finishing with, and part 2 is coming right up. Have a great day.